Hello and welcome back to Green Money Momentum, where we talk about market movements, making money, and money momentum. And for today's daily talk of stock, we're going to be revisiting three of our favorite plays on this channel. The first one, DWave Quantum, ticker symbol being QBTS, BigBearAi, ticker symbol being BBAI, and lastly, DJT. Not the president, but the stock. And so we're going to be going over all of these, and this is coming after the day of the big rate decision by the Federal Reserve. And so the overall markets we're pretty choppy today. Nothing really moved too much. As we see here on the screen, it was a pretty half and half day. So some plays were red, some were green, but overall the markets were pretty shaky, and it looks like the markets are still trying to determine its direction after the news yesterday. And so we're going to be getting into all that news as well as doing our technical and fundamental analysis of these plays. But before I do that, I want to say, as always, this is not financial advice. I always recommend doing your own due diligence before making any financial decisions. So first, let's talk about the macroeconomic conditions that we are in currently. And so yesterday was the big FOMC meeting. This is where the Federal Reserve discusses interest rates, where the economy currently is at, and where they could project it to go for the future. And so when it comes to rates, those were left unchanged. And this is about what the markets were expecting. But there was also a raised inflation outlook, and they did lower their economic growth projection. So that is a negative right there, to have higher inflation and slower economic growth. And this just continues on the storyline of what we have been seeing with the markets since December. And so we have been talking about this on this channel, about the three-headed dragon of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And that is inflation, tariffs, and then also the interest rates. And so in December, when the Fed talked about not having 4 rate cuts this year, but just 2, that was what initially sent the markets down. And then now we have a lot of fear again about inflation and then also the tariffs. And so Jerome was asked about the impact that tariffs could have going forward with this year. And he said that right now it is uncertain. And so we know with the markets always have a future outlook. It's always trying to price in future earnings and data. And so having an uncertain view is negative for the markets. And so when it comes to the bleeding that we have had in the markets, it may continue. Again, this is just a day after the interest rate decision. And so right now, the markets are shaky and still trying to find a direction. But the markets are heavily influenced by that third leg of the three-headed dragon, which is interest rates. Arguably so, that is the biggest thing that really controls the markets. And so we know in 2020, when interest rates were 0, the markets were pumping like crazy. And so the markets really react to the stimulative economy that the Fed could bring with lower interest rates. And so having the interest rates remain the same means that we may just continue the trend that we are on with the markets currently. And so the first stock that I have pulled up here is QBTS, DWave Quantum. And Quantum has had a pretty crazy year. The stocks in Quantum started to gain a lot of momentum at the tail end of October, and we have been in this bullish trend for QBTS. And so I drew out these 3 levels of support and resistance here, and QBTS is doing exactly what we said it may do in our last video. And that was the stock did become a little slightly overvalued off of the earnings report that they did have. So they do have a positive earnings outlook for the future, but regardless, we cannot totally just ignore technical analysis. And so we skyrocketed all the way up to a new all-time high. We did look pretty overvalued on the RSI, and we were climbing on the MACD. So what we were saying in our last video while we were at those all-time highs is that we could see a retraction right to around the $9 range. I was hoping to tap in the high 9s, so like 930, 920. We did fall slightly below that. QBTS is currently trading at 850. So we are currently right below this middle support line in QBTS. So what I would like to see for this stock is for us to continue to trade on this trend line. So if QBTS, if DWave could recover right back to around $9, and if the chart, otherwise the MACD and the RSI comes back more to a normal territory and not being so overbought, that's what I would like to see in QBTS. I would like us to find this middle support line and continue on this overall bullish trend. But let's not be naive to the markets and what could happen. So on a positive with QBTS, what we want to see is it to continue to hold this $9 range. But again, let's not be naive to the markets. If it does fall back down, we would like to see it go to a minimum of around $5, around $5.35 or so. And this, if it stays at this level here, this will continue the bullish trend that we have seen in QBTS. And so that's the technical analysis on QBTS. But if you didn't know, the reason why we are so bullish on DWave Quantum and Quantum in general is because Quantum is growing as a sector, and DWave is the leader in that sector. And so they are the #1 commercial supplier of quantum computers, and it looks like their revenue and all that should only be increasing. And so for DWave Quantum, with their earnings, there was some very bullish news about what they accomplished this last quarter. And then they also have a very bullish outlook for the future. And so investors were very happy about this. And that is that their Q4 bookings are up 502% year over year. And then for 2024 overall, their bookings were up 128%. And so it looks like the customer base for DWave Quantum is growing. And we do know that when it comes to quantum, DWave Quantum is the leader in commercial applications. So they are number one when it comes to commercial users, and they have a bunch of different corporations that they're working alongside with. And so we see here on this list that they have customers such as Volkswagen, MasterCard. We also have NASA down here, Google. And so there are a bunch of big Fortune 500 companies that are using DWave. And the most positive thing about DWave going into this next earnings report is that when we look at the history of the revenue on DWave Quantum, they have never actually broke past that $2 million range. And so for Q1 of 2025, they are going to 4x this. DWave is expecting to have a revenue of $10 million in the first quarter. And so we are seeing their customer base grow. We are seeing them grab more bookings. And then we are also seeing their revenue 4x. And so I do believe that right now on this dip that we saw in QBTS, that this is a great opportunity for investors to buy into Quantum. Again, there could be some more drops that do happen. We cannot ignore the overall macro trends in the market, but this is a great spot to position yourself for when the recovery comes. What I encourage investors to do is just don't over leverage yourself. Dollar cost average in. Maybe buy a couple of options contracts or a couple of shares right now, whatever your goals are. And then if it drops some more, load in some more. I just don't recommend over leveraging yourself, because I feel that is where most investors right now are going wrong. And that is why there is so much fear, uncertainty, and doubt in the markets. We cannot be naive to these market turns, and we got to always be ready for what is set to come in the future. And I say that whether your investment strategy is to be a long-term bull or whether it is to gain profits along the way. So if you're a momentum trader and you like to sell high, buy low, hey, maybe that's your goals. Set some stop losses along the way, but just be prepared for whatever may come. Again, the markets are just continuing on the trend that we have seen in December. And this, again, has been the big story of the year, the three-headed dragon of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And well, with what Jerome Powell just said, it looks like we may be continuing on that trend. And talking about oversold, when we look at our beloved BigBearAi, we could see that we are also lining up on all the indicators here. And so Big Bear also has been on a pretty positive bullish trend ever since it broke past $1. We were rising on this hyper bullish trend. We are slightly underneath that right now. And then we did tap the 200-day moving average. A lot of this comes off of, again, the macroeconomic trends that we have been seeing. Almost every big play ETF has been being slashed. And so Big Bear has been no exception to that trend. But we went from being very overbought on the MACD to now very oversold. And the same could be said on the RSI. When we were right around $10, we were looking very overbought. But now, because of all this retraction, we are now more on the oversold side. Let's remember that with stocks, just because it looks oversold doesn't mean that there can't be more selling off. Again, the selling pressure in the markets have been pretty rough lately. So we could continue to see some drops from Big Bear. But again, this is where I encourage investors to start dollar cost averaging into this opportunity. As you know, on this channel, I am very bullish on the Big Bear, and I have a long, strong conviction with this play. So we really believe in the intrinsic value that is behind BigBearAi. We know that they have contracts with the government and the Department of Defense, and then we also know that their face scan technology is being used at the airports. So the utility behind Big Bear is great, but a lot of the fear, uncertainty, and doubt that did drop this play down even more the other day is the slopping accounting news that came out. And so Big Bear had to submit a filing to the Securities and Exchange Commission stating that it would not fit the normal filing deadline for its annual 10K report. And so the company did say that they will need to restate previously reported results. And so this does look pretty bad for the Big Bear, as we do know that BBAI is in a lot of debt in the last quarter of 2024 with their initial earnings report. We did see that they were paying down debt. And again, they are gaining contracts. So it does seem to still have a bullish trend when it comes to their actual financial sheet with Big Bear. Gaining more money, paying down more debt, that is a positive. But what isn't a positive is the sloppy accounting here, because again, the market markets never like to react to uncertainty. The markets like to know what it is trying to project for the future. And now investors don't know what to project with BigBearAI. But myself, I still believe heavily in this company. And I think this is just a small bump in the road. I hope that when the accounting comes back, that there isn't too crazy of numbers on there. Maybe we'll just be a couple of digits off. But what is a positive for BigBear is that they did say with this accounting mess up that their revenue and gross profit and all that looked good. So it's just a little bit when it comes to the debt and then also their convertible notes. And the last stock that we're going to be talking about here is DJT, Trump Media and Technology Group. And as you know, we have been very bullish on DJT for a long time. This play has a lot of opportunity, and I also believe in the intrinsic value that is growing behind this company. And so when we look at the technical analysis on DJT, you could see that I have two major lines drawn out here, and that is because we are looking at the last year in DJT, and I believe that these are the two major support lines for this stock. So that is sitting in between around $21 to $27. And the reason why I say this is a major support for DJT is over the last year, we could see that it tapped this spot multiple times. And the only time we had a retraction was right before the elections and then right now. So currently, I do believe that we are oversold on DJT. We also look oversold on the MACD and on the RSI. And this selling pressure in DJT, I believe, came a lot from the shorts and then also from a lot of investors who were just expecting this play to pop because it had the president's name attached to it, which is an understandable thought, as what moves the markets a lot of the times is fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and fear of missing out. And so even myself, I thought that, yeah, DJT having his name attached to the stock, we would see some greater price movements. And we may have seen that if it wasn't for the halting and manipulation. And so if you were following the stock right around the elections, right when we hit around $50 is when we saw the halting and manipulation. And so the shorts pulled some ugly maneuvers on this stock. And since that spot, we never regained that momentum right back at $50. So we were in a sideways trading channel. We were moving up a little bit into the inauguration. But since that moment, we have only seen selling pressure and we have only seen DJT go down. Again, I believe this is a lot because of the shorting and then also investors who may not totally understand what they are investing into with this company, but they were just investing into the name Trump. But the reason why I am personally so bullish on this stock is because Trump is trying to bring us more into the age of both the truth and into the mass adoption of cryptocurrency. And so first, when we just talk about the truth, very positive news. We had another big announcement for this company. They are going to be on the Roku TV platform soon. So Trump Media Truth Plus is going to have their app on Roku, which is a positive, as this is going to bring more users and advertisers to Truth Social. So we could see their user base grow, and then we could also see their revenue grow from advertisers that are looking to advertise on Truth Plus. And it's not just that when you're investing into Truth Social, you're not just investing into the truth and the social media platform and the streaming services, all that, but you are also investing into Trump's plan to bring us into the mass adoption into cryptocurrency. And so DJT also has some investments within cryptocurrency. They recently made a $250 million investment with Charles Schwab, and a lot of this is behind cryptocurrency. And so they're looking to create some ETFs as well, a Made in America ETF, an Energy Independence ETF, and then also a Bitcoin ETF. And we know how quickly cryptocurrency moves, and when cryptocurrency does start shooting up, you better bet that DJT is also going to gain value as well. They have all their investments into cryptocurrency, and then again with these ETFs and everything, they're going to be collecting transaction fees and management fees, all that. And so DJT is growing as both a media company and also as a financial company as well. But it's not just that we need to look at with DJT. Again, a big reason why most investors have hopped out of DJT and why I believe in the very near future that investors will hop back into DJT is because this stock right here, to many, is just a meme stock. I don't believe it is a meme stock. I see the intrinsic value behind the company. But for those that do believe this is a meme stock, as we could see here on this chart, this is all the Reddit mentions in DJT. And we could see that we are at a pretty big low. And so it looks like a lot of investors, a lot of momentum investors, a lot of meme stock investors have faded DJT. And so right now, I think all of these plays are great buying opportunities. I see a lot of utility and I see a lot of growth going into quantum. And for BigBearAI, they were just at $10 not long ago, and that is because of all the value they're gaining with their new CEO and then their big Department of Defense contract. I believe that BigBear is just going to continue on that trend, and that right now it is just taking a hard retraction from the overall macroeconomics and then the sloppy accounting. And then with DJT, I believe that this is one of the best opportunities in the market that many investors are missing. This stock is gaining a lot of intrinsic value, and this company is constantly growing with all its partnerships. Their balance sheet hasn't hasn't looked the best in the past, but I do believe that will continue to improve, again, with all the investments that Truth Social is making. But that is just my personal opinion, and I do want everybody to know that if you are investing, my best recommendation, again, is not to throw all your gunpowder in at once. Dollar cost average yourself into these markets. While these plays are dropping, this could be great buying opportunities to make the most return on investment out of these investments. But if you throw all your gunpowder in once, you may be a little over leveraged, and then these small movements towards the upside could seem so much bigger. So myself, I'm again dollar cost averaging into these opportunities. I believe in all three, but I would love to hear what everyone else's opinion on these three stocks are in the comments section below. So please drop a comment, please leave a like, and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Thank you guys all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.